What is up, Warriors? We are here with episode 25 of the 5D Warrior podcast. As always, I'm Corey.
John, what's up, guys?
We are getting into the scales of consciousness and how to optimize your vibration today. We're talking David R. Hawkins, his Power versus Force book in particular, with his scale of consciousness, going from low vibrational states to high vibrational states. And how does that scale operate?
So I believe the scale starts from 0 to what, 1,000?
1,000.
So from 0 to 1,000 on this vibrational consciousness chart, right? So we talk about the dimensions of consciousness. We're the 5D warriors. We're 5D, to be quick, we're 5D because we're bringing the love of the 4th density or dimension and the wisdom of the 5th density or dimension together, 5D, bam, right? So we're in a 3rd dimension of existence, right here on Earth. But when you correlate that to consciousness, 3rd dimension levels of emotion, right, are low emotions that have a lower vibration to them, such as fear, shame, guilt, anger, right? All of these emotions lower our vibrational state of being. We want to operate in levels such as the 4th density, such as things like love, joy, peace, all the way up to the very tip of the chart, enlightenment, right?
Exactly. So, how do we optimize our states of being? Because we look at these as emotions. We don't understand these as states a lot of times. So, when you sit with these different states of being, these feelings that reside inside of you, you can feel them coming and emanating from different parts of your body. Okay, I'm feeling fear right now. Question, why am I fearful? What am I afraid of losing? Oh, I feel pain right now. And pain is an interesting sensation. Yesterday, I stubbed my toe, and I immediately reacted of like, oh, fuck. Exactly. Oh, fuck. And then I said, why am I going to react to this pain? Like, why don't I just sit with this pain? And I stubbed my toe, reacted immediately, and then just sat with the pain. And it was an interesting sensation of feeling, okay, I'm not fighting it, but I'm just accepting it and letting it be. And that's a physical feeling, but all of these different emotions and states we're feeling are physical. They're chemical, electrical reactions going on in our mind, in our body. Think about disease, right? Yes. We talk about disease, which is dis-ease in the mind. Stress brings about...
Clip that.
Stress brings about dis-ease in the body, because when your mental isn't right, how can your body be right?
Yeah, we talked about the last couple of podcasts. We had Christian Van Camp on and Eric DeLozier. Christian's talking about getting your gut and your mind right, and the two-way highway between the mind and the gut. If your mind's out of balance, your gut's going to be out of balance. If your gut's out of balance, your mind's going to be out of balance. And also with the intent, like Corey talked about, the disease or the dis-ease in our bodies. When you follow Christian's 80-20 rule and you eat 80% whole organic, grass-fed foods, like good foods to optimize your health, 20% of the time you're having that cake or that cupcake, the ice cream, whatever you're eating. It's also, although those are bad foods for your body, it's all about the intent you put behind them. So we look at that cupcake and we say, oh, that's a bad cupcake, right? That cupcake's bad for me. I immediately just projected negative vibrations onto that cupcake because I labeled it as bad. I identified that cupcake as being a negative level of consciousness on the vibrational David R. Hawkins chart. Then we had Eric the other day talking about when you're angry, your anger correlates with passion, right? Because the only reason you get angry about something is if you feel like so strongly and passionate about it. But he says that this anger resides in the liver. And say you're angry all the fucking time, maybe your liver is going to be more out of whack than a different internal organ in your body because you're always vibrating at that level of emotion, because our emotions also linger in different parts of our bodies, right? And that coincides with the consciousness chart and our chakras. Can you explain that for me?
So the chakras correlate to the David R. Hawkins consciousness chart, starting from the root chakra all the way up to the crown chakra, right? I'll display the chart on the screen so you can see. And there's going to be, you're going to see the red at the bottom. It's going to be a prism from the red at the bottom to the purple at the top. And those low vibrational emotions are corresponding with our lower three chakras, right? The root chakra, the solar plexus chakra, or the root chakra, the sacral chakra, and the solar plexus chakra. And those lower vibrations, like we said, include fear, anger, guilt, desire, shame. Those emotions are going to bring you down. They're going to bring your vibration down.
5D call right now.
What?
Billy called me.
Oh, 5D call.
Shout out Billy.
Shout out Billy, the man. Right? Where it switches over to neutrality on this scale is at the heart chakra, when you then transition from those low vibes, which they say are in fear, to the higher vibrations, which are in love. So neutrality is right in the middle. Neutrality and willingness are those in the middle that are the bridge to the higher vibrational emotions. And once you break through and you conquer those past traumas and those diseases in your body, you then activate those upper chakras and activate the emotions and states of joy, love, peace, the flow. You start to get into the flow when you start feeling and activating those upper chakras. So, go ahead.
Yeah, and you talk about the neutrality, and essentially where the neutrality comes into play is where we talked about with observing your emotions rather than reacting to them. So, all of the lower levels of on the consciousness chart are all emotions that you would find yourself in when you're like reacting to things. You only get angry when you're like reacting, don't think about why you're angry. You only get sad when you react to something versus sitting with it. All this stuff, right? But neutrality comes when you sit and let an emotion be rather than react to it and identify it with one of those negative labels, right? So when you're sitting at neutrality, you're simply just at a state that's a very most basic level of beingness, because you're just sitting and observing your emotions rather than reacting to them. And then once you break through that veil of neutrality, that is when you can operate the higher level chakras, such as your heart, your throat, your pineal gland, and your crown. That's when you start to unlock those chakras. Because another thing is, you can't fully, I'm not going to say you can't access them at all, but you can't fully access your higher chakras until your three lower chakras are balanced. And that goes for your every chakra. So unless you completely balance your root chakra, you're not going to fully be able to access your sacral chakra. If you don't fully balance your sacral chakra, you're never going to get to full capacity of the solar plexus chakra, all the way up.
And there's different exercises and things that you can do to actually activate and release blockages in these chakras, release blockages in your nadis all over your body, which are the pressure points where acupuncture comes from. If you check out Paul Chek's website, he has a lot of great resources and exercises, stretches, yoga poses, qigong, tai chi, to kind of get that energy, that vitality and life force, the chi flowing through your body once again. So I was researching some different ways and stretches to actually release these blockages from the lower chakras all the way up to the higher ones. But definitely check out Paul Chek. He has a lot of great material on that type of stuff. So back to David R. Hawkins, where this whole scale of consciousness actually comes from, the Power versus Force book. Now, what he details is essentially a biological natural lie detector. More like a truth detector than a lie detector, if you will. So, here, we can demonstrate. If you stand up right here, now, this is going to be a hypothetical, right? Put one arm up, and if I was to say, is your name John Strick, hold strong if yes, you will go weak if no. And I push your arm down, and you're going to be able to hold strong, right? Yeah. And if I was to say, is your name David Strick, which is his brother, and I push his arm, I'm going to be able to easily push his arm down. So, we don't need to go through the whole principle of that and demonstrate, but using that principle, the lie detector test, he was able to do thousands upon thousands of different truth tests to then configure this scale of consciousness and ask it truths about our universe and biological natural laws that people may not have had the answer to yet. So he's asking different historical questions and different all sorts of stuff just out into the ether, because all information exists in the universe. It's just our mind that accesses it by tuning into different frequencies, which is that information.
Yeah, we're not creating anything with our own minds. We're simply just remembering it, and that's the whole idea of downloads and the idea that everything already exists in this universe, but we're simply just remembering it or downloading it to our consciousness. And when do downloads become easier to manifest into your reality is when you're vibrating at these higher levels of emotion. Manifestation and like profound downloads only not that they only come, but they're more likely to come into your life when you're vibrating at a higher level of consciousness. You can't necessarily manifest. No, that is facts. You can't manifest anything if you're constantly in low vibrational states of being, because if you're just all day projecting negativity onto the world, why should the universe repay you in any way? Or you know how it will repay you? You're gonna attract negative energy back into your life. The universe is constantly in a circle of almost like a game where what I project into the universe will come back to me. It's the law of attraction, essentially.
The universe is a mirror.
It's a mirror.
At the end of the day, your internal reality is then reflected back to you through your external reality in the physical realm. But with all thoughts, ideas, creations coming from the ether, we can tap into it by tuning to different frequencies. And we say raise your vibration, raise your frequency, and people say, what does that mean? But when we're saying that you need to raise your frequency, think about if you have an 8 hertz vibration, right? That's not 8 hertz. But you get what I'm saying. You have an 8 hertz vibration, right? And then you put a 16 hertz vibration on top of it. You can layer them. Now, the 16 hertz vibration is a little bit higher than the 8, but you could fit more into that 16 hertz. You open yourself up to more. It's instead of being multiplied by 10, you're multiplied by 1,000. You can attract that much more in.
Yeah, that goes back to the idea of your pineal gland as well. When you're operating at these higher levels of emotion, it's easier to unlock or decalcify the pineal gland, and then that in which you get access to these higher levels of consciousness. For example, last podcast we were talking about lucid dreaming. It's much easier to lucid dream when you're operating at higher levels of consciousness than if you were in a negative state all the time. Right, so being conscious of this chart is one of the things that jump-started my journey, my conscious journey, essentially, because by just seeing the chart and like understanding it, like, hey, like this emotion resonates with this level of this frequency, and this higher level emotion resonates with a much higher level frequency. Just being conscious of that is an easy way to go about your day, because now maybe when you go out throughout your day, if something triggers you, you'll say, hey, that made me upset, but let's not identify with that upsetness. Let's let it sit and then see if we could take that energy and make it something positive. Transmutation of energy. Eric talks about this. The idea that all energy is just the raw energy or the chi. It's just raw, right? So by us we're giving even the consciousness chart, it's all the same energy. It's just simply what we're labeling it as. So these negative levels of vibration, they resonate at a frequency, but that's not to say that those levels can't, at the snap of a finger, resonate at the much higher levels of frequencies. So like if I'm angry, why not let that anger sit, that raw anger that I'm so Eric talks about this, the passion that comes with anger, right? Why not try and get as angry as you possibly can, right? Because the more angry you are, the more passionate you're going to be, right? But let's change that anger and use all of that passion that you've built up all that chi you've built up in your body, put it towards something you're actually passionate about, because no one's passionate about being angry. It just so happens to coincide with one another. Say you're passionate about art, and your dad says, "Oh, I fucking hate your artwork," or something. Like something gets you angry. You're like, screw my dad, blah blah blah. How about you try to get as angry as your dad as possible, then flip the switch and say, okay, now I'm gonna bust out 10 paintings, and maybe those will be your 10 best paintings that you ever put out.
Mm-hmm. It's all about questioning that internal reality, questioning the external reality, because the only one who knows is God. At the end of the day, God knows the truth. There's one truth in the universe, and it's impossible for any human to come to know that truth. However, we can become more closely aligned with that truth, because that truth is singular. That truth is a line. And when we're vibrating, we're dipping onto that line, and then we're straying away from it. We're dipping off of it. But then when you raise your vibration, you're on that line more frequently, because that line is singular. And when you raise your vibration, you become more singular.
Yeah, and I have one more tidbit. When you look at the consciousness chart, at the very top of the chart, you will see enlightenment, right? And it's kind of like a distortion in the sense of the consciousness chart that we're trying to raise our vibration to get to these higher levels of emotion. But the greatest distortion of the consciousness chart is you're not trying to get to enlightenment. It's already here in the now. So by you being like, oh, I have to do this, I have to meditate X amount of times a day to one day hopefully reach enlightenment, to hopefully reach peace and love in my life. Although that is true, all there ever is with enlightenment is the here and now, right?
You're pushing away peace and love now to then look for the future.
Yes, so don't go out, don't wake up every morning and say, oh, this is going to be the day I reach enlightenment. No, the only way to reach enlightenment is pure presence, and the only way to experience pure presence is to sit in the now.
He who is enlightened does not know he is enlightened. That's the principle.
That's the principle.
Because you reach enlightenment, and it's not like a flip switches or the colors change and the world gets brighter. It's a presence, and obviously neither of us have reached that.
If we were enlightened beings, we wouldn't be sitting here making TikToks. Or we wouldn't. This is our podcast.
This is YouTube.
We wouldn't be on YouTube right now.
See,
but we're on our journey there. But I also just said it's not a journey. We're already here, baby.
We're already here.
We're already here.
I like to say it's in motion.
We're in motion.
You're in motion
too. So we're all in motion. Help us get to the 5D. We're trying to help you get to the 5D. But by us getting to the 5D, you're also coming along for the ride.
Yeah. Because this 5D Earth, we're seeing the
It already
shit.
exists.
It's existing right now. And some can choose to live in the 5D Earth, and some can choose to get left in duality. And we chose the 5D because we're sitting in here and we're talking about chi, about prana, about God, about energy.
I'm saying Kundalini right now.
Sitting Kundalini.
But we just gotta reach that we just gotta get back to the source, right? And the only way to get back to source is to experience those high levels of vibrations. Shout out David R. Hawkins. Look at the chart, but don't overanalyze the chart and try to over-experience those realities, because they already exist for you right now.
Don't feel the lower vibration emotions even more because you identify as not feeling those higher ones. Because, like I said, question everything. And when you sit with emotions and you question your internal, you'll be able to pick apart the subconscious mind, if you will, and this default mode network in your brain. You pick it apart and you can dissect it to really see how your brain operates. And when you're constantly in a waking conscious state of walking around and questioning and thinking deeply and consciously about everything, you begin to see the world through a different lens. And that's something we talk about a lot, is seeing the world through different lenses. So these different lenses we see the world through, it's what you identify with right there, and how your subconscious mind is projecting itself onto this reality. So if you consciously see the world through that of peace and that of love, that's what you will see in the world. If you constantly see the world through the lens of anger, through the lens of shame and guilt, that's what you're going to see. Because if that internal state of yours is that of anger, you're going to see the anger in everyone else, and their anger is going to feed yours. But if you're able to see through the lens of love and see the love in the world, that love is going to just heighten the love within yourself at the same time.
Yeah, like Corey said, the universe is your mirror. So don't go breaking that mirror, because it's some bad luck if you try and break that mirror. Do not force yourself on the universe. Do not try to push away these these levels of emotions, just let them sit rather, because like you said, it's all just chi. So the only reason you feel sad, angry, desires, guilt, shame, all these negative emotions is because you're labeling them. So stop labeling them and just identify them as chi and raw energy, because when you do that, you could then in turn energy transmutation, change those raw negative emotions into raw happy emotions or positive emotions. And that is the greatest takeaway I think that you could take away from this, and that's the greatest takeaway I've taken away from Eric so far, is the energy transmutation, because it's so profound when you realize that your thoughts and emotions are separated, and your emotions are only what the energy that we feel from these emotions are only what we're identifying them with. It's like really profound, because if we're just labeling them and that's making us feel them, then we could feel whatever we want. And we could be whatever we want. And we could be here now.
Because we are energetic beings in this spiritual world. And at the end of the day, we're either bringing in positive or negative energy. But at the end of the day, it's just energy.
And it's just the infinite.
It's just the infinite.
We're experiencing
There's an infinite amount of
reality
energy at our disposal. So why not tap
at all
into it?
time.
Why not tap into the infinite energy?
Why tap into infinite negative energy when you could tap into infinite positive energy? Question of the day.
That's the QOD.
QOD.
Because with infinite energy comes infinite space,
And
infinite time,
infinite
responsibility, and infinite you.
Yes.
But not the you that you think you are. The you much greater.
The you in singularity.
The you in singularity.
The collective
true self.
you.
Yes.
So,
even though you're infinite, the one thing that is not infinite.
Time on this
podcast.
Sorry, ladies and gents, we got to wrap it up today. This was episode 26 of the
25.
Oh, we did 25.
26.
I don't
26.
remember. We don't remember.
We might have gotten it wrong at the beginning,
We're
but it's fine.
wrapping it up regardless.
We're calling out today. Who are we calling out? We're going to call out Elon Musk.
Yeah, we're going to stay tuned for the TikTok call out number 6 of Elon Musk.
Indeed.
Shout out Elon.
Shout out Elon. He seems like a homie on social
But
media.
we got some things we got a bone to pick.
We got a bone to pick with you, Elon. So stay tuned for our TikTok.
Thanks for watching. As always, like and subscribe.
And
Drop
we're
a
watching
comment.
you, YouTube.
We're watching you, YouTube. You ain't gonna delete this one.
Never. Thank you guys for watching. Out of night.